Hi, welcome back to another Webflow tutorial. In this video, you're gonna learn how to make this cool 3D custom-made navigation menu. Let's get going. First of all, we're gonna do as usual. We're gonna take a section and give it a full view height. And inside this section, we're gonna add a div block. And for this div block, we're gonna give a fixed width of 800 pixels and a height of about 600 pixels. I think that's a bit too small. Because I'm working on a 27-inch display, I'll be increasing the size of everything. So in your project, you can adjust it accordingly. So let's give this div block 1000 pixels width, and height is alright. Height is not a big issue here. So let's select the section and put the layout, flex, align center, justify center. And now we're gonna select the div block. Let's change the name of this div block. Let's change it to 3D monitor. So this is gonna be the parent div, which is gonna act like a monitor, 3D monitor. Inside this div, all the children elements will have a perspective, and we will be manipulating those perspectives. So let's give it a fixed width of 1000 pixels and a height of 600 pixels, and hit this 3-dot button and set the children's perspective to 1000 pixels. No, actually set the children's perspective to 2000 pixels. Inside this div block, now we're gonna be building the 3D box. So let's insert a link block here. Inside the link block, we're gonna insert a text block, and let's give it a class of 3D text. And for the first button, we're gonna call it home. And we're gonna set a color for this, dark color to start with, so that we can see. Later we're gonna change this color to white. And get rid of the underline. Now with this link block, we're gonna give some padding to it. About 20 pixels on left and right, and 15 pixels on top and bottom. And also we want to increase the size of the text a little bit. So that you guys can see better. Let's give it a 20 pixels size. No, actually give it a 24 pixels size. Yep. And the link block, actually we want to give a bit more padding to the link block because it's looking way too small. Let's give it a padding of 30 pixels on the left and right, and increase the padding to the top to about 25 pixels. Yep, now it looks correct. With this link block, we're going to insert this link block to a div block. So let's add a div block and insert the link block to the div block. And this div block, we're going to give it a class. Let's call it link container. Link container. And the 3D monitor, we're gonna set the layout to flex. Actually, let's keep it the alignment to the top as well, so that you guys can see the 3D boxes taking shape in action. If we keep it in the middle, you won't be able to see the 3D shape very well. This link block, we're gonna give it a gradient. So let's set the gradient and let's switch it upside down. So 0 degrees. And also the white color, we want to put something a bit grayish color like that. I think it's a bit too gray. Let's increase a little bit. Yeah. Now we're gonna go and change the text color to white. Now inside this link block, we're gonna set the link block to relative. And inside this link block, we're gonna add a div block. And we're gonna call this div block top surface. It's gonna be the top surface of the box. And set the position to absolute. Give a width of 100%. And also give a height of 50 pixels. Let's give it a height of 70 pixels. That's a bit too small as well. Let's give it a height of 80 pixels. Yep. Now let's set a color for this. I like this fluorescent type color. It stands out in the dark. And add this to the swatch. And also we want to align this to the top of the parent div. And we're gonna move this div by 80 pixels. Sorry, we're gonna move this by minus 80 pixels. And also we're gonna set the origin to bottom. And now we're gonna rotate this div block to make it the top surface of the box. So let's rotate this to 90 degrees. Let's rotate this to 90 degrees. And go back to the link block, add another div. Set it to absolute. Let's give it a class first. Let's call it right surface. And set it to absolute. And align to the right. And we're gonna give it 100% height. And width of 80 pixels. And then we're gonna move it to the right of 80 pixels. Sorry, I did the same mistake again. It's gonna be minus 80 pixels. Yep. Give it a color. and set the origin to the left and rotate 90 degrees. Rotate 90 degrees. Let's do the same thing for all the sides. So select the link block, add a div block, call it bottom surface, and set it to absolute. Give it 100% width and height of 80 pixels. And align this to the bottom. And now we're gonna move this to minus 80 pixels. Give it a color. Set the origin to the top and rotate 90 degrees, minus 90 degrees this time. As you guys can see, it's already the box is taking shape. Just one more surface left. Let's add the div block. Call it a left surface. Height would be 100%. And width is gonna be 80 pixels. Position is gonna be absolute. And align to the left. Minus 80 pixels. We're gonna align it to the left and move by minus 80 pixels. Let's set the color again. And the origin, we're gonna set it to the right. And now we're gonna rotate to minus 90 degrees. There you go. We have the first box ready. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna select the link block and we're gonna transform. We're gonna bring it a bit forward. We're gonna bring it by 80 pixels to the front. And the parent div, the reason why we did this way, because we want to use the parent div as a shadow div. So it's gonna act like a shadow later on. So let's give the shadow right now. Let's give it a box shadow. And let's set the distance at about 7 pixels. And we don't want any angle here. We want 180 degrees. And increase the blur a little bit. Let's give it a size of 3 pixels. And also we're going to reduce the opacity of the color a little bit. So 65% is fine. Now that we have one box created already, let's set the transformation as well. So with the parent div selected, we're gonna head towards the hover state. And what we want to do is when the button is hovered, this box is gonna rise up, come forward, and the shadow is gonna increase. The shadow is gonna become a bit bigger. So let's do that. Let's increase the size. And also the opacity. Let's increase the opacity a little bit. let's go to the none state and give it a transition of 400 milliseconds, and ease is fine, and we want to target all the properties. There you go. And now what we are going to do, we're going to bring this link block a bit forward, 80 pixels forward, but when we hover, we want it to come even more forward. So let's go to the hover state and bring it to 180 pixels. 160 pixels. Like that. And as you guys can see, we can see the parent div behind, even though the button is inside the parent div, because of the z-axis transformation, it's behind. We want to give it a bit of a color in the background. As you guys can see, this button is working. What we are gonna do, we're gonna give a transition with the link block as well. So let's target all the properties and give it a transition of 400 milliseconds. There you go. It's happening smoothly now. I think the div, the parent div, the link container, the color, we should give the color a bit more lightliness. Make it a bit more lighter. Now it's ready. What we're gonna do, we want to enhance the look as well. When it comes out, we want the gradient to change. So let's select the link block and let's go to the hover state and change the angle a little bit. Let's change the angle to 55 degrees and let's darken this color. There you go. Let's go back to the non state. No, it looks nice. And we want to go to the pressed state as well. So when it's pressed, we want this box to go back a little bit. So let's change it to 80 pixels as well. The z-axis extrusion, 80 pixels. And let's change the gradient just like that. First box is done. Now all we have to do is just copy this link container and paste it as many times you want. I'm gonna have 6 link items, so I have copied this box 6 times. Let's give them individual names. So the second one we're gonna call it services. So there you go. Let's go to the preview mode. It's working, but however, these two guys doesn't want to align with the other ones. To solve this problem, go back to the 3D monitor and let's justify and align it to the center. Actually, let's align it to the top and justify center, and we're gonna give it a bit of rotation on y-axis. So let's give it a rotation of 0.01. You see, that solved the problem. So let's go to the preview now. Now everything is aligned properly and all the transitions are happening smoothly. Let's put this navbar bit, let's select the section and align it to the top and give it a padding as much as you like. There you go, guys. It's done. I will leave a link in the description box below. You guys can go ahead and clone this project and use it in your own project, change the colors and play around with it. That's it for today. If this video was helpful to you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe our channel for more videos like this in the future. Thanks.